Welcome to round 5 of the MyGen Draft League with Nuke the Wailmer against the Dundee Dittos. Lots to look at here, some really strong rosters. Nuke the Wailmer is going really good at the moment with a 3-1 record. Really tough walls to break through in Mandibuzz. Lots of recovery options, screens in Klefki. Probably the best choice scarf user in the game at the moment in Galarian Zapdos. Quagsire with that unaware wall. Just lots of options to go through. Dundee Dittos picked up a couple of trades throughout the week, got a couple of dark types and a bit of versatility and a bit of unpredictability in Morpeko and Zoroark, which is good to see. So it'll be interesting to see how they go if he does use them this week. Alright, here we are in the match. So first thing we'll look at is what is in that 6th slot. So that will be the designated Dynamax slot if both coaches choose to use it. If you are Dynamaxing, you cannot use an item. So we can see the Galarian Zapdos in that slot. Pretty scary Dynamax user with that dual stab in fighting and flying, which is really hard to work around, and Celesteela as well, which is really hard to break down with that huge bulk. First move here, Quagsire walks straight into a Seed Bomb. Thing with Morpeko, it's got a really interesting move pool, really unpredictable, lots of options to choose from. So that's some good prep by Rory going for that Seed Bomb, and even better to predict it on the switch and hit it off first go. Goes to that Aura Wheel, so that'll give Morpeko that speed boost. It's not very effective, but does a decent amount of damage, about a third there. So the next Aura Wheel, if he chooses to use it, will be Electric type. Klefki goes for Reflect to try and limit the damage on that. But this attack won't be not very effective because of the change in types each turn with that Hangry mode. So it does a decent amount of damage again. Goes back to Dark type. What does Klefki do here? Alright, Morpeko goes for Brick Break and gets a kill. So it takes down those screens, gets kills, gets a kill. This is a bad start for Chris here. Great start for Rory. Licky comes out. Interesting to see if it's a physically defensive wall. I don't think it is, depending based on that damage. Licky goes for that Seismic Toss. Does decent damage, but doesn't get the kill. It's a lefty set. Licky switches out. Brings in Quagsire. Probably just sacking him on here. I'm not sure what Chris's plans are here, but Rory goes for a parting shot, which really isn't good for Quagsire here because I think Chris was going for a sack there. He wanted a safe switch in, probably to Zapdos, but gets a parting shot as well. So Quagsire's just kind of sitting here, not doing anything. Interesting, Celesteela goes for Focus Blast and gets a kill. Zapdos uses Substitute. And that is not Celesteela. Alright, using Extra Sensory, so that shows up. That is not a move that Celesteela knows, so that shows off to us that it is in fact Zoroark with that illusion. I do like that with the fake D-Max though, can make a coach from another team panic, but Chris deals with that pretty well, going for the Thunderous Kick, kills that Zoroark, takes it out of the equation. Alright, so Toxapex, probably a physically defensive one as it switched into Zapdos there. Toxapex gets a Skull. It'd be interesting to see if it's enough to get the substitute out. It's not, so that's big there. And Zapdos goes for Bulk Up, safely setting up with that substitute up. Can't get burnt from the Scald. Toxapex goes for Scald again, so this should break that substitute. And it does. So Zapdos does bring Stomping Tantrum, so that should do decent damage. Not quite half though. Ooh, that's a risk there. Zapdos takes that Scald. Burn there would have been pretty rough. Does go for Substitute this time. Alright, so Toxapex is handling this pretty well at the moment. Zapdos goes for another Stomping Tantrum. Gets it down quite low. Still got that Substitute up. Toxapex goes for another Scald. And breaks that Substitute again. I think I'd rather be in Rory's shoes right now. He's just handling Zapdos quite well. Zapdos at this point shown it's not a Dynamax Pokemon. It did have that berry, so Chris did not bring a Dynamax Pokemon this week, which is a huge call to make. But you can see he was just so worried about probably Toxapex that he just wanted to play that slower route to try and deal with it, get that Substitute up. Rory does bring out Steeler, goes to that Dynamax. Zapdos obviously still behind that Substitute. So what's the play here? So Zapdos have very low HP, but does have those bulk up boosts. Zapdos goes for another bulk up, probably to go for a close combat in the next turn. Steeler goes for max Rockfall, so he will get that Sandstorm damage, which should KO Zapdos. Won't get the Beast Boost, but will take out Zapdos. So Chris's team's just being dismantled here. There's no real offense left. And Rory still has Tyrantrum and Morpeko in the back, with Steeler doing pretty well for itself at the moment. Licky comes out. Licky goes for Wish, so trying to stall out those Dynamax turns. Steeler goes for Max Steel Spike. Boosts its defense, makes it really hard to take care of by what Chris has left. And down to really low health as well. Alright, so interesting point in the match. We did have a communication error there. We did try to recreate this match as best as we could. It was really tricky with the berry from Zapdos, low enough health that Steeler could kill Zapdos with that Sandstorm damage and just the number of bulk up turns, things like that. So it was really tricky to recreate. You can give your opinion in whether we handle this well in the comments, but here's where we sort of picked it up afterwards. So unfortunately in the replays, Zapdos did get burnt by a Scald, and then it did take out Toxapex still, so we did have to stall out a few turns because it was really tricky to recreate. Steeler comes out. Obviously Zapdos is not behind a Substitute at this point, so that's the difference. So Zapdos was burnt and not behind a Substitute. That was the thing we had some trouble recreating. Obviously, Zapdos did take a risk in the original play, hitting Stomping Tantrum without being behind a Substitute, which meant that it did get burnt in the replay where it didn't in the original play. Which means that when Steeler does go for the max Rockfall, Steeler does get the Beast Boost. That was the difference. I'm I'm not sure if there's another way we could have sort of played around that, but that's where we ended up. But the way we sort of looked at it was based on the turns that followed. We're not sure that that turn of events really mattered. Might have just quickened the game up a little bit. So again, Sealer Stealer goes to the max steel spike, boosts his defense. Licky Licky again goes for Wish, which is pretty much the only option it really had anyway. Is a little bit lower on health than it should have been originally. Without the beast boost, obviously. It switches out. We go into Mandy Buzz. Sealer Stealer goes for max Rockfall. Should do decent damage. Not quite enough to get the kill. Does about 3/4. Yeah, does quite a lot of damage. Don't know if the taunt was necessary there. Sealer Stealer goes for Meteor Beam, so that's hiding that max Rockfall move. And I like that here. If you look at what Chris has left, he can pretty freely just go for Meteor Beams to boost its special attack and then hit hard on the next turn. As we'll see in a moment, it's got a little bit of recovery as well. So we kind of just decided there's not really anything that Chris could do here. He U-turns, does nothing with that. What's that? 4 times not effectiveness into Sealer Stealer's defense boost. Boosts its special attack again. And then hits that Meteor Beam. Gets a one hit KO. So you see how powerful this thing is at the moment. Like 1 hit KOing Galarian Slowbro. Like, you know it's hitting hard. And Licky Licky, it's just going to die to anything here. Goes for a Seismic Toss. Does a little bit of damage. And there you go. Sealer Stealer's got Giga Drain as well. So there was nothing that Chris really had to deal with at that point. I think Klefki and Zapdos dying, once they were gone, he didn't really have anything to handle Sealer Stealer. So he just goes to show. It was just one of those games where the early game just meant so much. Morpeko was the right lead there for Rory. The great read into the Quagsire switch, which, I mean, could have been really bad if that Seed Bomb hit something like Mandy Buzz. It's not really hurting him. If Klefki stays alive a bit longer, it potentially helps wall Sealer Stealer. There's a lot of things that just sort of went wrong throughout that match for Chris. Rory handled it really well. He just, once he got that, got on the front foot in those first 3 or 4 turns, he just didn't let up. Chris is a really good battler. We've seen that throughout the season so far, but he just never got a chance in this one. He never got a chance to get going. But it was good to see Rory just get on the front foot and just keep it. I'd like to see him use Zoroark with a little bit more mystery in the future. But yeah, both coaches, like, they've got great teams. This was always going to be a good match. I think unfortunately it just kind of got decided in the first few turns. Just some great reads from Rory, some risks that didn't take off for Chris, but that's how it is. Alright, see you later.